Okay, so I got this adjusted a little bit more, put another screw in it. I've got a couple more screws to put in. So here is the one side with the drawers installed, or the drawer fronts installed. The drawers never came out really. This piece here, still, I just need to take care of the gap and then go ahead and run some screws in from the back side to hold this in place. And that's the look. That's the look I was looking for. I think it's in my opinion, a big improvement over what it was. So I've got to finish the other side. I've got the drawer fronts done, but I've got to put the pulls on and go ahead and install the drawer fronts. And I actually still have to make the drawers, or these false fronts here, and the doors. I have to do that as well. I'm going to have to find another source for the planer. My planer is not wide enough to run those door fronts through. It's only a 10-inch planer. And so that might take me just a little bit longer. The other thing that I need to do, I'm going to come over here on this side. Oops. So the other thing that I need to do is to make a new end panel. The face frame over here, it actually stuck out about 1/4 of an inch, so I just took my handsaw, and you can see all the score marks there. I just cut that off so that I could put a new end panel up against here, and it'll butt up nicely against the front face frame. It'll fill in this gap here from where we raised it up 2 inches, and that'll finish it off nicely. There's still some trim work that needs to be done up here as well. So I still have a fair amount of things to do, but it's coming along. I just cut the end panel piece out, and I was just test fitting it. You can see at the bottom I notched out around the baseboard. I just used a piece of paper and traced it with a pencil. It's not perfect, but a little bit of caulking and it'll be just fine for me. Also, I need to put a little piece of edge band down on that exposed front, that exposed edge, and you can see it'll fit nicely in there. And I'll get it stained up and lacquered, and I can screw it in place. I've got the false drawer fronts here all put in place with pulls and everything, so they look like a drawer, but they're not. And then I've got the doors. These took me a little while. I guess because of the design and because I had, I wanted this reveal, so I wanted the door inset a little bit. Part of the issue was on these drawer fronts. When I planed them down, what that did is that unbalanced the material. The plywood. So basically what happens sometimes is you'll get, when you cut off of one side, it'll bow. You'll get a little bit of bowing in that piece of wood, what's left. And that happened with the drawer fronts, but because they were being screwed on to the drawer body on each end, it wasn't bad enough to where it was going to cause a problem. And so they screwed on just fine, and they still had a little bit of flexibility in them. But with the doors, I needed to leave them the full 3/4 inches because of the hinges that I had. It needed that depth, or it would have gone all the way through. And so it was causing a problem with me wanting it recessed. Sorry if I'm talking and getting off on the camera. Sometimes it's not easy. So anyway, because I want it recessed, I actually ended up having to route out about that 1/8 inch reveal, because it's going to be butting up against this old existing framework, and I want it inset a little bit. So I got the router out, and routed out a little bit, but left the remainder of the door that same thickness. Then I don't have the bowing problems, and I'm still getting the reveal that I want. That was a little bit tricky. It took me quite a bit extra time. Tricky for me, who isn't a natural born woodworker. But I think it looks okay. Because of the hinges that I was using, I also had to add a little extra blocking in the back because I didn't have enough depth in the old frame to attach the hinge. So I had to add a little bit of depth to give me somewhere to mount the back. I'm not a hinge expert, so I imagine that there's another hinge that I probably could have used without having to do that, but these were, actually they were pretty inexpensive, and once I got that piece of blocking in there, they work just fine. Well, this project has drug on much longer than I had hoped. I think I've been working on it for a couple of weeks now, but not straight. We're right in the, we just finished up with the holidays, so I started it just before, I think probably the week before Christmas or so, and now it's just after New Year's. But it's been, you know, kind of hit and miss between our travels and that kind of stuff. We had to leave for like New Year's, so I just had the end panel to do. And so I actually took it with me and finished it at my in my brother-in-law's shop. Really, all that I had to do, I fit it here, and I stained and lacquered it away from here, and so now it's just ready to go ahead and assemble. The other thing that I did, this was a request from my wife, if you can believe that. She might not admit that, but. She wanted a magazine holder. So remember, this is the bathroom vanity, so you can guess about the magazine holder right next to the toilet. So this is the bottom, that's the top. The magazine holder will it'll go probably, you know, right about there. And then we've got the toilet paper holder. That'll go on the other end, something like that. So it's just a matter of attaching those, putting the end panel in place. I still need to do the caulking around both the sink and the edge of the countertop against the backsplash. And I think that's it. Now, some of you might be wondering what all of this has cost. So I actually sat down with my receipts to figure it out. I've spent about 130 bucks, so it's actually been pretty inexpensive, which was my goal. Now again, I had a few of the things. I had the stain, I had the lacquer, I had most of the pulls. I only had to buy like 3 drawer pulls, and luckily the local hardware store had almost the exact pulls that I had. So it worked out really well. If I did not have those items, it probably would have added another, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 bucks, something like that. So it's time to put the final finishing touches on this. Instead of gray, which I mentioned in an earlier clip, I found some, it's called cedar tan. I think that'll go better with the new color of the wood. So that's what I'm going to use around the edges of the countertop. And then I've got some white kitchen and bath silicone that I'm going to use for around the sink. I'm assuming that most people know how to use caulking gun or how to do caulking. I cut about that much off of the tip, cut it at an angle so that it's not too big of a bead, and it'll make a nice line. I'll go ahead and use my little pokey tool on the end here, and we've got to puncture the seal that's inside there. Wipe that off really quick, because I don't really want to get it all over me. And of course I did get it on my hands. So I'll go ahead and load up my caulking gun. And I'm going to start from this back corner. I went to grab a piece of paper for a spot to have for when I'm done and have a place to put it, because there's always a bit of caulk that oozes out after you're done. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this. That's how I'll do it. I was able to get a fairly smooth bead on there. Sometimes I'm not very smooth and I have to go over it with my finger or something like that, but I think I'm probably going to pretty much leave it that way. Now I'll go back to the back edge and finish that. Alright, I've got the countertop caulked along the back edge. I've got the sink sealed around the edges. I've got the end panel on. I decided to do my the toilet paper holder and magazine holder just a little bit different. I actually talked to my boys and got their opinion. Instead of having them separate, I centered the magazine rack and attached the toilet paper holder right to it. I think it's going to work great. Mission accomplished. The project is done, and I did it for somewhere around what I thought I could. There are a few minor things that I would do differently that I learned as I went. You may be curious how much time I spent. I spent a lot more time than I certainly planned. I don't know exactly. I'm guessing maybe 30 to probably 30 to 40 hours on this project. If I were to do it again, however, I probably could more than cut it in half. You know, things like the drawer and door fronts, I didn't make them all at the same time. I did the outside drawer fronts, then I did the inside ones later. So it doubled my time right there. So there's a lot of those kinds of things that I could streamline the process, do it much faster. But overall, other than a few little things, I'm very pleased with the end result, and hope that someone got maybe some good pointers that I couldn't find on the internet when I was looking. I thought that I could give it a new look and do it the way that I did, and here's the result. I hope you like it.